Tragic end to a very good man, John GoolmanDavidson. Here we're looking south into Blandcounty, Virginia. Well, guys, in this video I'm going to tell you about the tragic end of John GoolmanDavidson. John GoolmanDavidson was one of the first pioneers that come to Mercer County. It's right behind me. Here we're looking into Blandcounty, and the reason we're looking into Blandcounty in that direction right there is because this man was murdered right here in this county in the 1700s, and I'll have to read you the story, guys, how it is in how they say it in the history book here, so that we understand what's going on. If you look in the distance right there, where I'm at right now there is a trail that goes across this mountain, and it was the only trail in that time that you rode by horse across the mountain on an even grade from Mercer County over into Bland County, and it became an old wagon road after that. But Mr. Davidson was killed right about where you see my finger pointing. It's about 7/10 of a mile up Laurel Creek. That's where his gravestone marker is. That's where they found him dead down there in the holler when they killed him. So anyway, he rode across this road right here that's in front of me, across through Bailey Pass. It went in that direction, guys, for about 2.5 miles, then cut back to the left and intersected Laurel Creek, somewhere I think right along about where he was murdered. But if you look in that direction, you can see North Gap right there. And on over there on this mountain, you can see Rich Mountain. That's South Gap. This is Wolf Creek Mountain. And in the far distance, you can see Brushy Mountain and also Walker's Mountain if the video is picking it up. But these mountains right here is where the last time he was seen alive. He come through this pass right here, then rode right around up to about that point right there where he was waylaid and murdered. Some people say the Indians did it. Others say there was a more sinister plot to it, and that's what I have to read to you about, guys. So while I'm reading this particular passage from history, I want you to look there in the distance and imagine Mr. Davidson, Mr. John GoolmanDavidson, who had been on business over on past Draper's Meadows, because what he would have done was rode through all these passes, hooked up down there with Walker's Creek, went across the Cloyd's Mountain there somewhere to get on the trail that Daniel Boone had carved in the Wilderness Road, which would hook him up to Draper's Meadows. And he would have known Mary Draper and John Ingalls. And that's the person who built the ferry where you went back and forth across the river, guys, over on New River. That's where he was headed, because there's not really a good way for you to cross the New River without a ferry. So Draper's and Ingalls over there, the Ingalls Crossing, and Mary and them had a very lucrative business going on, and that's where this man was headed on over in, I think, to another county where he was going to get $800 that was owed him by somebody over there had owed him that money. So that's what his business was. So after he headed back coming back from home, imagine he rides through all these passes, comes down through here, and he gets right there to the end of Laurel Creek, and he's got just a few minutes to live, because somebody, whether it's Indians or a white man, were waiting on this good man and killed him right there. So now I'm going to cut the camera off for a second, get my pages out so I can read them, so that you can understand just exactly what I'm talking about in history. Okay, you guys, reading from the USWarArchives.net. John GoolmanDavidson, born in Dublin, Ireland, a cooper by trade. That's how he got his nickname, Cooper Davidson. That's somebody who makes barrels for a living. Came to America in 1755 and settled at Beverly Manor in what was then Augusta County. He then removed, it says here, him and his family, to Draper's Meadows, a settlement that was from there. He moved there in 1780. He then removed there to the head of Beaver Pond Creek, which is in Bluefield, West Virginia now. That's where they got the Beaver Pond District. That's how it got its name, the Beaver Pond District. And he joined with a man by the name of Richard Bailey and his family, and they built a block house or a fort some short distance below this Beaver Pond. And if anybody is familiar with this area, that's where Westgate Shopping Center is. Now, all the people, guys, around this county are kin to Mr. Davidson. If you were from here originally, you are kin to John GoolmanDavidson. I'll go down here to the bottom, guys, where we can... Okay, now in this history archives thing here, it says, John GoolmanDavidson, to whom the reference here unto has been made, had with his family resided for some time at the Beaver Pond District there in Bluefield, right there at Bluefield, Virginia. While living at Smithfield, that is Draper's Meadows, there was a man by the name of Rice who was accused of stealing a pig from Mr. Davidson. And he was found guilty of stealing that pig and was sentenced to 40 lashes on his bare back, and history says he received those 40 lashes. And after he received those 40 lashes, it is said that he swore up and down whatever he had to do that he would get back at Mr. John GoolmanDavidson. So we go on down and he says here, even if he has to get the Indians to help him do it. So Mr. Davidson's, here's how he got murdered. Mr. Davidson, having some unfinished business at his former home in the Valley of Virginia in Rockbridge County, among others, the collection of some $800 due him, and determined upon a visit to the valley to close up that business and get his money. And it was not unusual for the fact that he was leaving a little small community like he was, for that to be noised abroad. And you know, Mr. Davidson wasn't a fearful man. Anybody wouldn't, you wouldn't be fearful. If you were fearful, you wouldn't be riding through this gigantic wilderness that you see here in front of me on a horseback by yourself. So that's, he was a real woodsman and outdoorsman, not to mention that being a cooper. So he came over his regular route. We're looking at it, guys, right now through Rocky Gap. And there was because somebody hit down here, guys, a residing family saw Mr. Davidson coming through in the spring of 1793. It is said by the old people who had lived there, and that's Rocky Gap right there. So now, guys, what happened here is Mr. Davidson come up missing, and he had been seen by these people in Rocky Gap, and he came up missing, and there had been some more killings in the area at the time. And like I say, Mr. Davidson was missing. I'm gonna get around here in front of this camera so you guys can see me. So when he turned up missing, and there was some other killings that had happened in the area, they sent some people out to look for Mr. Davidson. They came right across this road through Bailey Pass and down through here to Laurel Creek, which is where I'm looking. And this, guys, is where they found the man where he had been murdered. He'd been stripped of every bit of his clothes and had been dead so long they had to bury him on the spot. That's why there is a marker at that place right here in the distance below me. But they said that there was a hatchet mark in a white oak tree where it looked like somebody had made a slash mark, stuck a hatchet in the tree, and then used that hatchet to hold a musket on to shoot Mr. Davidson, which when they shot him off his horse, it apparently instantly killed Mr. Davidson, because they don't describe him as being scalped, which is very unusual. If a Shawnee Indian done it, the Shawnees would scalp their victim to have that trophy to take with them. So the way I see it, I don't think the Shawnees really did it. I think the white man did it, because they say that the name Rice was carved in another tree over to the side. Now, I'm not a accusing anybody of that, and nobody knows this is an unsolved mystery in Blandcounty, Virginia, the killing of John Goolman. But anyway, his body is buried about 2 miles in that direction right there, guys, and I'm looking right there. And I really had done a whole lot of research about it, read all kind of different documents, and one of the main things I wanted to discover, guys, is where Bailey Pass is, because Bailey Pass had to be right here where this road goes across the mountain, because it's the easiest and most natural saddle, where this old wagon road come down and went down to where one of the first cabins was in Mercer County, which is the head of what is called East River, that goes through Oakville and goes on right on down to New River in that direction. But this trail was just on an easy grade all the way around and made by horses and men. No bulldozers did this. This road was the only road, guys, one of the only roads, main roads, wagon roads, that come into Blandcounty before 1939. They built Route 52 north and south, which is a few miles in that direction. So, guys, I appreciate the Davidson family for putting all the information up on the internet for people to read, and the historians that kept this story alive. Mr. Davidson was a good man. He loved his family. I'm sure he was wanting to get home and eat supper with his family that night or evening, whatever it was, when he was waylaid and murdered. What a shame for that to be the end of this good man. But that is a murder mystery, guys, in Blandcounty, Virginia. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Here we're looking at Bailey Pass on the Mercer County side. There it is, guys. This is Bailey Pass. No rocks right here. The horses could ride right around here, wagons and all. Come across this mountain into Blandcounty, over into Mercer County. Nice little bubbling brook. This is a three-dimensional map that I have of the mountains here. A nice old log home that the Davidsons built. The Bailey Cabin, Bluefield, Virginia. This is the head of East River. The old wagon road on the West Virginia side. A rugged mountain range. You can see all the rocks.